This is our 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Monday morning Clark Coffee Huddle. What is this? This is a time for realtor practitioners to get together, communicate, collaborate, build greater deal flow, and to increase your network, grow your team. But we know what? We really want to see deal flow and transactions take place. So welcome to the call. It is a pleasure for me to introduce our guest speaker. But before I do, Chris, take one step back. Sean Murphy, our Vice President of EXP Commercial, he has joined us this morning. So Sean, why don't you just say hello to the team, say hello to everybody, maybe share with us some great things that are taking place from corporate.
Well, good morning. First time at the Clark Coffee Huddle. I came to hear Chris Mayer, so there. I know we have a storm going across the United States, and it's about 26 degrees in Atlanta, and probably 26 degrees in the Permian Valley in Texas as well for Tommy. Yeah. So everybody's having a cold morning. You're probably missing a couple people because they're East Coast. I know Tommy Trong's in Boston. I don't see you in here, Tommy. You're probably frozen in. But welcome, everybody. I'm Sean Murphy. I'm the Senior Vice President of Growth for eXp Commercial. My job's to grow the company and make sure that all my advisors have everything that they need to conduct more business like this. And I know you have this networking event, and I know Rich Schenderlin has a networking event, and it's all about deal flow and exchanging deals. Because like my LinkedIn banner says, money changes hands when problems are solved. And you can solve all the problems in the world with this many people. So I'm glad to see that you guys have such a tight-knit group and that you're even working in a nice cold Georgia morning. So I came to listen to you, not to me. I'm gonna have some updates coming up here. I'm meeting with all the execs at EXP in San Antonio, Texas in about a week. So we'll have a lot of new updates. One of the things that's coming is we're gonna have a program that helps juniors should you want to bring one on. And that's what we're working on right now. It's a junior program and a fast cap program for newer commercial advisors. And that all involves you guys and having you impart your knowledge onto them. So stand by and I'll turn it back over to you, Eric and Christopher Mayer, and see what you guys have to say that's important on this Monday morning.
Good to see you, Sean.
Sean, thank you. I want to give some kudos out to Sean. He's on the West Coast, but as far as being supportive of the effort, supportive of the community, supportive of deal flow, supportive of anything that I've needed, he's been there. And I'm super, super thankful to have him on there. I can never go without mentioning my dear friend in Birmingham, Alabama, and my sponsor who's here with us today because they won't let him in the local prison today in Birmingham. So it's nice to have Keith Andrews here with us. But with that, I'm going to set the table for our guest speaker. And we're going to have Mr. Christopher Mayer. Chris, speak to us. Chris is the founding president and national president of Contractors, Closers, and Connections. I looked on my phone this morning and I counted over 80 plus names that have CCC beside it. 80. And how many people on this call can think of one person and then that one person will generate 80 contacts for you on your mobile phone? Anybody else raise their hand? Maybe with the EXP, but very few of us can do that. Chris is that person for me. He's become a friend. And quietly over the last several months, he's built his revenue share. He's got 17 members now working with him, engaged with him in his EXP revenue share organization. And what stands out to me, it's the quality of people that Chris attracts. He attracts strong contractors, proven closers, and people with real connections who get deals done. He operates with integrity. And I can say that because I know him as a person and as a friend. He's very consistent. He's got a long-term mindset. He understands the value of a long-term play. And he understands this is a business that is built on relationships, follow through, and adding value before asking anything in return. Chris has brought so much added value to me personally, not just to me and my wife as a friend, but he's also provided unbelievable strength and opportunity to my network and my business within commercial real estate. So with that, Chris, boy, that's your intro. The floor is yours. Then I'm gonna have some Q&A for you, and then I'm gonna open the door for everybody else to do the same. It's all yours, brother.
Yeah, thank you so much, Eric. And thank you, everybody, for joining us on the Clark Coffee Huddle. One more C and it would be CCC. So, like Eric said, my name is Chris Meyer. It's been a blessing to get to know all of you. Those who I don't know, look forward to getting to meeting you here in the future. The EXP journey goes back quite far. I'll tell you a little bit about the CCC origins and how it all plays in synergistically. So I started out in the commercial construction business. I was in demolition, general contracting. I've blown buildings up. I've constructed buildings and managed that whole process. And in that interim, I needed to meet a lot of people in commercial real estate. So we started seeing the full ecosphere of an association, or what would be the future of CCC. Being, right now on our website, if you were to look at any of the links I dropped in there, we not only have major summits that we're very blessed to be offering. We'll tell you a little bit more about those here in a bit. But right at the top, the sub verticals of commercial real estate that I needed to meet back then are still the same today. We needed to know great people in construction, great people that are producing deal flow on the investment side, people that manage assets from a financial or physical aspect, people in the brokerage community. I absolutely fell in love with the people in the brokerage community. I was blown away by how many connections they were able to make within their Rolodex and how many calls and emails and meetings they were setting up and how much value they brought to a CCC. And prior to us forming CCC, there were just these standalone, compartmentalized, isolated brokerage associations. And I said, well, that's not right. I know that brokers can do a lot of deals with brokers, but we need to see the developers and the municipal representatives and all those pieces to the puzzle that needed to be there. So that really was the genesis behind the contractors, closers, and connections, to bring all of those executive level, senior level people together that were coming up in the industry, that wanted to grow as a family, wanted to not only nowadays leverage technology, but most importantly, in-person relationships. So even with this AI and all that's coming out that are amazing tools for us, I don't believe the in-person element is ever going to be abolished, right? We're always going to value seeing people face to face, especially in commercial real estate, where these people are trusting you with the most important investment of your lifetime, and then helping them. So our mission statement at CCC is quite similar. When people come out to one of our events, my general takeaway is I never wanted to host a function that I wouldn't personally spend my time investing in, whether it's money or time or energy, so that's the premise. But our mission statement is we wanted to improve people's lives, improve their quality of lives, so that they can do that for their families and do that through our events. So, Eric, I don't know if that's where you wanted me to take it, but I can continue on with telling people, anything you want to know about CCC and how, EXP has been a value to what we're already been doing and how we've synced in, wherever you'd like for me to take things.
Yeah, just a couple of things. I saw you did a post the other day about one of your first. It looked like a bunch of people on LinkedIn. They all had a shovel and was breaking ground. Share a little bit of that. Share a little bit of that story, Chris.
That's a great story. I have two similar stories, but the one Eric's referring to were just friends of mine, right? One of the core values of CCC and me personally that Eric mentioned earlier is integrity. We also have servitude and respect. So we respect everybody. We treat everybody the same, no matter where they hail from, what nationality and culture. The servitude aspect is extremely important. That goes back to this example that Eric's talking about. When I was in that picture as well, I looked very happy, because I was able to help just some local commercial real estate professionals in the Atlanta area. It was just a thing by God, I believe. I was on the phone with my friend Heath, and Heath was starting up his own development firm with a couple of guys. They said, "Hey, Chris, we're going after, Class A new construction stuff, maybe some retail at the bottom, 150 unit type stuff." And I had just got off the phone with somebody in California, and I said, "Hey, Keith, do you guys entertain joint ventures? Because that's what this gentleman was looking for, and he owns a piece of land in Norcross, Georgia, multifamily zoning, and I just said, let me just put you all together, see where it goes." Eric Clark is great with this too. He's always pairing us up with opportunities, but just that thought of servitude to help out some friends who were just starting their new construction development company. Now that's led to them doing joint ventures and sole projects, close to $1 billion. They're doing hundreds of millions of dollars, but nothing would have happened if it weren't for us meeting that day and making those introductions. And of course, I got compensated for my time. That was great. And they got to go on and do many more great things. So that was really the genesis there. We have similar stories that now today lead to those industrial conferences that we're hosting. And some of those are nobody has ever hosted a small bay industrial summit in the United States. Nobody has hosted a industrial outdoor storage or IOS summit in the United States. And those stories are very similar as to how I helped people. And then years later, they helped me. And now we're able to help many, many, tens of thousands more from attending our summits.
Share with us the structure of CCC and how it's broadcast across the country. Tell us each of the cities that they're in and what the structure within each one of those looks like, Chris.
So we were founded in 2019 in Atlanta. So everything spawned from there. Then came Tampa, Orlando, various chapters. So nowadays we have 20 current chapters. We're in talks with many more in San Francisco and different areas. James Wong's going to be pivotal there. We're working together in Beverly Hills. So that's as far west as we go. I'll be speaking to Tom Trung later today. He's in Boston with us. So we've got EXP relationships all throughout the country, as far north as New York and Boston, as far west as Beverly Hills, we as far south as Miami. So the way they're structured, is each chapter, you can find the chapter on the website. You can ask if we have one in a particular city. It'll be below my email signature as well. But if you're interested in, Dallas, Nashville, Kansas City, any of those markets, you can look up what we're doing locally, what subjects we're highlighting, whether it's industrial outdoor storage, retail, hospitality, self-storage, office, you name it. And one of the things that I've always striven to do, especially recently, is highlight projects that brokers and people can all get involved in. So there are so many examples I could use. I'm just going to use Nashville. So in Nashville, we want asset class, I wouldn't say agnostic, but we want there to be a multiple ranges of asset class, whether it's residential, office, retail, and so on, to be able to lend value to the program. So a lot of the times in that Nashville event we have coming up on Broadway, one of the nicest buildings on Broadway, it's 226, February 26th. We've got guys that are doing master plan developments of thousands of acres. This one fella named Dwayne has developed Macklemore Golf Course on the Tennessee border to Georgia. Beautiful private course. But there are so many opportunities for development with those guys and to partner on future ventures. So that's a lot of the programming that we center around, where people are looking to tell the audience, this is how brokers can source us new deals. These are the joint venture, equity, and debt partnerships we're looking to form, and that's why we're speaking at these events. So that's how we program it, and that's where they're located, sporadically across the country. We're looking into different markets, Chicago and Philadelphia. Not there just yet, but we do hope to be soon.
One of my favorite people that I've met in EXP, he gave me this a couple of years ago, if you can see it. Never forget the difference that you make. And on this call are people who make a difference. Tom Trung, I see your beautiful smiling face up in Massachusetts. Tom, Why don't you jump on and share? I know you've seen CCC from Atlanta to New York, maybe elsewhere. Why don't you share with the group what you've seen and how it benefits deal flow and transaction opportunity? Then I'm going to have a follow-up question for you.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for hosting this call, Eric. Looks like you're catching some momentum here and maintaining the momentum with the folks who show up. Appreciate it. Love it. And everyone's got the video cameras on too. And I love seeing your smiling faces, everybody. CCC, when I went to my first event in Atlanta, Georgia, I was just blown away by the talent in that room. Chris does a very good job vetting the folks who show up. So if you haven't been through his registration process, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I know is that, he opens up the registration. He lets people know there's an event. They can't register. They have to sign up and say they want to go. Then Chris behind the scene and his team vets the talent to see who is showing up in the room. And then only by selection does he then send an invite out for people to purchase their tickets. And they're first-class events. These tickets are not cheap, by the way, but you get the right people in the right room because they're there for the right reasons, for making connections. So that was my first impression. I said, wow, this guy is on to something. I've been to networking events before, but nothing like this. He's had events where there's, lots of entertainment, great food, music, dancing, and it's a vibe that is contagious. Okay, so when he asked me to get involved with helping him launch the Boston chapter, it was a hands down, absolutely yes. It's not if, it's when do you want to do this? And Chris, you're coming back to Boston March 5th, I believe, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's not going to disappoint. We got some good boys coming there.
Disappoint. Yeah. So yeah, I'm seeing in the chats there, ditto, ditto, ditto. Yeah, it's all top notch, folks. So that's what it is. You want to be in the right room with the right people to elevate yourself. We all know that saying, right? You never want to be in the room where you're the smartest guy, the most successful guy. You want to be in the room where everyone else is elevating you, and that's why I find myself in those rooms.
Thank you, Tom.
I'm going to follow up with you. I'm going to follow up with you, Tom, in a minute when I pivot talking about co-sponsoring and building revenue share. Before I do, I want to ask Keith Andrews a question, and then Dana, I'm going to come to you with something as well. Keith, you introduced me to Chris about 3.5 years ago. You'll be exact. It's almost 3 years ago, and maybe 2.5 years. And you've been to several events over the years. How do you see CCC benefiting you in your transaction deal flow and just in your network? Maybe more of the same of what we've heard, but share a personal story.
Well, I'll clarify one thing I didn't hear either one say. When you show up at the event, it's not where you go in and you sit down and you watch people speak or learn about a project. It is one big literal walk around, run around if you want to. You can sit down if you want to, but you're constantly mingling with lots of folks. And then there is a segment of time that Chris alluded to as far as the purpose of some of the speakers being there, what they wanted to accomplish that evening. They have that. So I wanted to point that out. I guess the biggest takeaway so far, which most of us would expect, Tom mentioned it, is getting surrounded by people who elevate you. That's it. It's because of I guess the personalities of the folks who are there, the characters of the folks who are there, the owners of the companies, they're there. It gives opportunity for us. I mean, personally, Chris is part of our organization now. I mean, and CCC is kind of utilizing some platforms of what EXP commercial can bring to the CCC backbone, I guess. And I believe there's several of us who are going to, especially the Atlanta. There's a couple of Atlanta events that I'd say there's at least 12 to 15 of us there. That's EXP commercial, not EXP realty and commercial, but commercial, which is fascinating. So it's a draw regionally to me, Eric. So being with a platform that allows us to operate in all 50 states, individually, if we needed to, it provides that opportunity because regionally people show up at these meetings. It's not about, hey, I live in Nashville, so I'm going to go to Nashville. Nashville goes to Atlanta as well. So that would be, and there's been several business opportunities that have popped up for all of us who are part of EXP meeting the rest of the folks at these meetings.
So I pulled
Yeah,
up,
I mean,
I pulled up and shared the screen for everybody. So while you guys are talking, you get a glimpse of what the site is all about.
oh yeah,
Um,
perfect, Tom. Yeah,
all
I could do
right,
that too.
sponsorship, national sponsorships, really cool stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. Yeah, like Tom was saying, we know who you're trying to meet in the room, people that are moving the needle, entrepreneurs. A lot of the common denominator we're looking for when we are in that screening process with our teams is seniority. People that are taking a lot of risk to grow their companies and grow their business, and they're going to need new commercial space and partners to help them find that space. So ultimately, what we're seeing is we have probably more contacts than we ever know what to do with. So the natural progression of partnering with EXP and all the great people that we've met from Keith and James and Sean and everybody on this call was so natural with the structure of the company and all the tools, resources that we have to be a complementary platform, much like a CCIM or an SIOR. We're the other acronym, CCC. We just happen to host better events. And so we're here lending that value where we have more incoming. So our brand, I think that's the key, is we have the best virtual brand on the internet. We have a LinkedIn where we have tens of thousands of followers, and our competition is nowhere close to the engagement that we're seeing. So all that virtual, we're receiving just people saying, I want to come to the events. I want to come. I want to come. And then we take those contacts and we translate them into true value so I'd like to see that going both ways after this call. Anybody that says, hey, Chris, I've locked up this great piece of land for an assignment. It's got this particular usage. Maybe it's an M1 industrial or whatever, it could be great for. Share those listings with us. Or if it's off market, if it's listed, whatever. We'd love to see what we can do with it. And if it's not like today, I'll give you a great example. There's a guy named William who is going to be a speaker at our next Atlanta event. We had a guy from Nashville drop out who is a prominent affordable housing and multifamily speaker. And he wants to see new deals. They do great Class A stuff and developing a lot throughout Atlanta. And if any of you have multifamily deals, we'll turn it on to William. So the possibilities are endless. I just look forward to that opportunity. He's showing you right now, we've got, multiple summits, whether you're sourcing industrial deals, we have family offices that are speaking at this first event, deploying into various things. And if you don't, pitch them, you're never going to know what opportunity there is. So that's all I've got to say.
Chris, I'm going to have Dana share a thought with you. Dana, you have a really unique skill set and you're doing marketing at a high level. I know you just came off the island of Hawaii doing a shoot with Netflix. Not all of us could say that we've done that. Having the experience that you've had and the opportunity to connect at a high level with, exclusive marketing, just give us another validation of what you're seeing through CCC and the effort you've made to connect from Charlotte to Beverly Hills to Nashville, the effort you've made and why you would do that.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. So I had the pleasure of going to the Beverly Hills chapter launch as well as Nashville, and I have always invested in networking and myself to get myself to events all over the country, all over the world. And some events, as I'm sure many of you have experienced, leave you they kind of fall flat. And some events are really worth the time and the value. And I can't tell you the quality of the people in the rooms at the CCC events are top notch. And really what I like is it goes past that, right? This isn't just meeting a connection, exchanging business cards and moving on from there. These are people that are looking to help you move your business forward, and it's reciprocal, which I love. It's a lot more giving than taking, which is super important when you're trying to have a sustainable relationship and build off of that relationship. So not only for me, being with EXP and being very invested in agent attraction, this provides added value to other agents on the residential and the commercial side that are looking to move their career forward. They're maybe looking to step out of their box. Maybe their brokerage that they're at currently doesn't offer these type of things. And while it is brokerage agnostic, it's an opportunity for people to come be a part of what we're building, not only at EXP, but also to really get involved and bring value to the CCC events.
Thanks for sharing that. Chris,
Thanks,
go
Dana.
Go back with me about a year. Tell everybody about the James Bond night that took place off of Sugarloaf. Explain and share how you created that atmosphere.
Yeah, so that goes back to me saying I would never want to attend an event that, I wouldn't attend. And we put a lot of thought into that one. We host an annual black tie, which is a bit more formal than a lot of the events we might host throughout the year. I know we have some pictures here of it. I'll try to do a screen share, but yeah, we want to do a 007 theme. Our friends were doing $150 million development on a 40-acre piece of property that involved a Hyatt hotel, luxury residential, retail, a whole bunch of cool stuff. And honestly, it's just from God. I mean, this stuff just comes into my mind and then we just execute it. I don't think anybody's ever given me ideas about what to do for our events. I can't give them credit. I'll take all the credit for that. Because we put it together and it sort of looked like a James Bond villain premises. It's an old renovated church that they turned into sort of an event center, and they've got future plans for it. So I called up the Aston Martin Club. We got all them out there. We've got the grand entrance here. They have a water fountain in the front with a globe that's got water spraying through it. We have gold painted people, called it Goldfinger 007. And just everybody's there having a cigar, making friends. We had a Casino Royale in there and it just flowed really well. People had a good time. So yeah, that was the event that we had this year. And then we have a phenomenal one planned for this year as well. I can already picture exactly how it's going to play out, exactly what it's going to be. And then similar to that was 2 years ago, we have this event. This one won't show it, but this was our black tie that we did with the Year of the Snake. And we had live snakes. We had, exotic cars, all sorts of crazy stuff. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I've got video of that snake wrapped around Marina.
Yes, yeah.
I didn't volunteer. So the James Bond night, I'm sitting there with Marina and Tom Crumpton's with me. We're at a table for about 8 or 10, and somebody else sat beside me, Joe Coslow. And now I'm talking to Joe on a weekly basis. And that came from nurturing a relationship that's built upon trust. And first of all, the trust gets reciprocated a little bit better because you've been vetted in order to be there. So Chris, kudos to you for building a structure that when people are there, there has been some vetting. It's not perfect. None of us are perfect, right? But there's been a great vetting process. And for me, the relationships I've built have been fantastic. And it's creating for me deal flow transactions through this relationship. So I'm very thankful for that. Kind of as we wrap up, I want to focus on something that I think is invaluable. Now I'm going to get specific toward, not just deal flow for all of us, because our opportunity to come together here is to build relationships, not just with our brokerage, but to build relationships, because we all transact with other people and other brokerages. But at the same time, this community, our coffee huddle, is for our organization and our team, where we have community, we have support, we have collaboration. One of the things that I see as a beautiful structure here is something that within our brokerage, our network of EXP, they allow us to do what's called co-sponsoring. I know people sometimes get their head wrapped around the axle and can't quite figure that out all the way. Tom, speak about the power that comes with an organization when, like, EXP commercial or EXP residential or business brokerage or luxury, use an organization like CCC appropriately, respectfully, but to create funnel and deal flow. Talk about that and how working with Chris and
Whoops, did we lose Eric?
I think so.
He froze up for a second.
He's working off his phone.
All right. I think where he's going with that. So primary sponsorship and co-sponsorship is so critical for our growth. I've seen our growth, our revenue share growth grow exponentially because of this co-sponsorship. So here's an example that I can share with you, because words are worth 1,000. I mean, pictures are worth 1,000 words. Daniel Lang, if you missed his training that I did with him on Power Hour last Tuesday, you got to really pay attention. So Daniel is growing the fastest in my entire revenue share organization. 6 months ago, he was at 253 net agents. And 6 months later, as of last week, he's over 312 agents. He grew 60 agents in the matter of 6 months, the fastest grower. I would say he's in the top 50 of all of EXP, but through co-sponsorship, you can see here. So Daniel Ang was sponsored by James Huang, who's sponsored by me. And so Daniel in this scenario would be at my level 3. He sponsored Tan level 4. He sponsored Brittany level 5. He sponsored Christy level 6. Josh is a fellow EXP agent, not in our revenue share organization, but Josh basically has, he loves the power of this upline of Daniel Ang and everything that we're doing for him. So Josh came to Daniel and says, "Hey, Dan, would you help me co-sponsor Ty? And that way I can plug Ty and myself back into your upline along with James Huang and Tom." We said, sure, because now we are financially vested in this. The next story, I'm trying to find this. So the story beyond this is now HIP is now my level 7. Okay. Level 8, I don't get paid anymore. So HIP calls me and goes, "Tom, the reason I did this is because I love what you are doing in your entire organization, what James Huang is doing. I'm now out of the organization beyond your level 7. So guess what? Daniel comes in once again and co-sponsors on the 8th level. If you understand rev share, Daniel reinserts himself on the 8th level. And now when they sponsor those agents on their 9th, they get my support, James Huang's support, and Tracy Gagnon's Broflick support one more time. So he's duplicating himself twice in the same revenue share organization. Hence why, if you guys go to my EXP now, if you go to my EXP, can you guys see my dashboard at EXP?
Yes.
All right. Because of rev share, I blew through 1,400. I also grew about 150 agents over the past 6 months. It took 2 years to get to 100 agents in the past before co-sponsorship. Now it took 6 months to get to 150. And when you see this level 7, that's all of us get paid for. But now guess what? EXP just extended to 15 tiers. Now I'm getting paid on up to level 10 because of the co-sponsorship reinserting. So you guys are on the call here with Eric and Chris and everybody else. You might be cousins to one another. Well, if you have a rock star like Chris Sacklaven or Keith Andrews or anyone on here, and you can have co-sponsorship and have the entire line. If you're missing that line, you can have that entire support come right back in and plug you into everything that we're doing, right? I invite agents to my calls that I do. I share it with the world, right? It's open for the world to see, but they've got to follow you to see it. But if you're at my rev share, you're getting directly messaged by my 4 executive assistants to show up at these calls to get the training. That's the power of co-sponsorship. So when you have a guy like Chris Mayer and you choose him, you can choose him as a co-sponsor. Just make sure that your upline, your primary sponsorship is plugged in, right? The biggest mistake I've already found with agents calling me is, Tom, I effed up. I picked the wrong primary sponsor because they got a great name. They got 10,000 followers, but they don't show up at any of my calls. They have no time to show up at my calls to help me support. So what's the point of that? Yeah. Really important. Back to you, Sean.
Well, I just want to point out a recent co-sponsorship. When I developed co-sponsorship 2 years ago, Leo and I and Amy Weaver, we looked at other companies where they take every dollar that goes to the revenue share tree and they split it in half. And we're like that. And then even at that company, the company takes a piece of that. You get 45%, your friend gets 45%, the co-sponsor gets 45%, the company was getting 10%. And so Glenn decided he didn't want to monetize it. What Tom Trong's doing by reinserting people in his downline beyond his level 7 is brilliant. I had a guy call me and say, I got this problem. And this is what co-sponsorship's for. When money changes hands when problems are solved. I have a problem. I have a development that I need to do in Birmingham, Alabama. I want to name you sponsor. And even I can be a lot of things, but I can't help him on the ground in Birmingham, Alabama. And I said, you know what? I'm going to have a friend of mine named Keith Andrews sponsor you. And I'm going to be the co-sponsor out here in California. And both have their benefits. Frontline sponsor gets the FLQA and gets the frontline qualifying agent, and they get the frontline payment. But the second sponsor, they get the second line qualifying payment, and they also get the first year bonus. So there's benefits to both of them. But Keith's boots on the ground in Birmingham, Alabama, and he took this new guy by the hand and showed him where to go. Probably a very lucrative deal. This program was set up so that if I could not be a benefit to this person's business, I could partner with a Tom Trong, with a Chris Mayer, with an Eric Clark, with a Greg Mix. They can take care of them. They can watch over them. They can be benefit on the ground wherever they're at. And I still get the benefits of sponsorship. I was the relationship, but just like Tom said, you can name number 1 or number 2 as your sponsor, but they are not going to be there to help you grow. They're not going to be there to help your person achieve their goals in real estate. So I partner with people that actually can help this person, A, produce revenue share, because no sale, no rev share, but B, help them make it in this business. This is not easy. We have an 18 to 24 month deal cycle. We have a high dropout rate. If you saw the NAR statistics last month, 71% of the agents in real estate, realtors, 71% of them had 0 deals last year. 0. They sold nothing. Another 14% sold 1 to 4 deals. That's not a living. You don't live on 1 to 4 houses. So look at that, 71%, 14%. You're 85% of the agents don't make a living in this business. So you want the brain trust here, the Tom Trongs, the Keith Andrews, the Dana Flanagans. You want those people looking out after you and making sure you get into business. And I talked to my prospect, who I brought into regular real estate at my brokerage in San Diego 8 years ago. And he joined Keith. He said, best thing that's ever happened to him. Best thing. He's already, now he's floating in multi-million-dollar development deals, trying to sell a piece of San Diego by the sports arena. Keith's working on him with construction and new construction in Birmingham. He's over the moon because 1 to 4 homes does not allow you to live indoors in California. I got to tell you.
Here's another example. So Dan's my level 2, Evelyn's 3, Raven's 4, Amy's 5. We insert Lauren as the co-sponsor as 6, and Melissa is level 7. Lauren was actually the person who had the relationship with Melissa. Lauren runs the Girls with Grit. If you don't know who Girls with Grit are, they're awesome. They're growing nationally and internationally within EXP, but they're running basically a business within a business by doing events and big events, right? Big motivational events. Lauren recognizes that she does not have time to help Melissa, a rookie, generate more leads than they can handle, to sell houses, to close on deals. That's just not her cup of tea. Well, guess what? In 40 minutes or less, I'm training live our organization on how to generate more leads than they can handle. Melissa's going to jump on. She's my level 7. Guess what? When I help her recruit the next agent, she's going to insert me as a co-sponsor, and now I help her build another 7 levels down to my 14. Daniel gets rewarded because she's in his level 5. He gets paid in level 6 and 7. And then when we get down to the 3rd level for Melissa, we're going to reinsert Daniel as the co-sponsor again. So it flows straight back up. I hope you guys follow that math. That's the power of how you guys can collaborate with one another and bring in the real talent who's doing real work.
And I do want to point out the key here is that we all get to level 7, to where you can enact this kind of an algorithm. Chris,
Yes, sir.
You're one. No, Chris, Saddlebin.
Hey, how are you,
Yeah.
Sean?
Yeah, you get to level 7, and then you can play Trong math.
Oh, I'm trying. We're on our way.
He's working on it. He's working on it. Something I would like for be a takeaway for each person on the call today. I hope you've exchanged information with Chris. You have his point of contact information now. By the way, you should do that with each person on this call. That's one of the reasons why we're here every week. And think about, who do you know that might live in Charlotte? Who do you know who might live in DC, Tampa, Miami, Dallas, Fort Worth, Beverly Hills, Los Angeles? Find out where Chris has his chapters. Think about who you know, and then create the opportunity to work with Chris to create funnel. You can increase your deal flow, and you can increase your revenue share, and you can do that collaboratively and collectively together. So I really appreciate the opportunity, Chris, for you to be with us here today. And for those who participated, Sean, loved having you on the call. Tom, this is the first. Thank you for you being on the call as well. But any questions from anybody else on the floor before we wrap up? Another 5 more minutes, and then we'll call it a day. And Chris, anything else you'd like to share too?
No, thank you for having me. Open to any questions. I'll drop my contact information in here as well. Good to see Chris Socklaven, Dana, and everybody else for joining. This has been incredible. I appreciate the opportunity. And like you said, I think we can lend a lot of value to people in those local pockets until we go international. I know James Wong and I are looking at a couple things there, but yeah, if they're near Charlotte, any of those regions, we'll connect you to the local chapter leadership, and we'll start lending value to you immediately.
All right, now the floor is open. Hey, you've met Chris through the Atlanta chapter. You have anything you want to share? You're taking a look at EXP. You know Chris. Share your perspective of this conversation today. You're muted, AU. Still muted. All right. Anybody else as we're wrapping up? There you go.
Hi everyone. Thank you for having me today, and it's been a pleasure. My experience with CCC was amazing, and that's how I got to meet Eric, and we've been able to meet on some great occasion and planning on doing some amazing things together, and it's been an amazing pleasure just learning all the great stuff and all the potential opportunities I'm looking forward to with all the scriptures.
Good to
Nice
see you.
to have you here with us this morning. All right, friends, See you next Monday. Have a fantastic week. And thank you for sharing some of your morning with us.